excited because I'm excited, and that's because I've got a completely new car to talk to you about. This is the GV80, which is made by Hyundai's luxury brand Genesis. Now the looks of it at the moment is completely dividing the car buyer office. Some people think it looks really nice, some people think it looks like a Bentley Bentayga if it was drawn by a toddler, which I think is a little bit harsh. But hey, let us know what you think. Pop it in the comment box below. So, a bit like pickup trucks, baseball, portion sizes. Genesis is already pretty big in the US and in South Korea, but what Hyundai want to do is build the brand in Europe. Now, considering how much people blooming love them at the minute, where better to start than with an SUV? But does it stack up against the Audi Q7 or the BMW X5? Well, gosh darn it if I ain't fixing to tell you. But first up, subscribe button, like button, bell button, and now me doing the voiceover button.
As well as selling luxurious cars, Genesis is also offering a different way of buying them. Everything is done either online or via Genesis Studios, which are basically boutiques in upmarket shopping centres rather than traditional dealerships. You also get your own Genesis PA, who is your contact from the first test drive to the aftercare once you have your car. The GV80 is definitely classed as a large SUV in the UK car market. One of the first choices when buying one is whether you want the 5-seat or the 7-seat version, with the latter adding £500 to the car's starting price of just under 57 grand. That may sound expensive, but this is meant to be a posh car. There are two big powerful engines to choose from and plenty of tech and very plush interior.
And here I am in that very plush interior. We've got a nice two-tone black and vanilla beige vibe going on in here. And as I am in the more expensive of the two trim levels available, I am sat in these rather lovely big Napa leather seats that just feel like armchairs. Now, this very swish centre console also has black ash actually in it and on the doors as well, and it all looks and feels lovely. Now, I very recently drove a Hyundai Tucson, and if you look really closely, you can see some familiar parts. But generally, Genesis have done a really good job of disguising them by doing just nicer finishes. Because overall, the interior just feels a lot more classy and a lot more distinguished. I mean, this is really impressive for a new car. The quality is just excellent, and the fit and finish feels a lot better than it would in, say, a Volvo XC90. Now, in these modern times of parts sharing across brands, it feels nice and refreshing to see an infotainment system that's different. Now, namely, I'm talking about the very wide screen, 14.5-inch display. She's a big old beautiful baby is what she is. Now, I know it is another screen that's been perched on top of the dashboard, but because it's so nice and slim, it feels like it's integrated nicely into the overall design rather than just being an afterthought and just plonked on top. The resolution is really good and usability is fab as well. But when you're driving, it does feel like it's quite far away. But that is when this twisty control down here comes in very, very handy. It has got handwriting recognition and voice activation, Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. And behind this very American looking steering wheel, we do of course have digital dials. Very smart.
As already mentioned, the GV80 isn't cheap, but it does undercut most of the established upmarket rivals in this class and comes with plenty of equipment as standard. There are two trim levels available called Premium Line and Luxury Line, with the latter adding just over £5,500 to the car's starting price. Premium Line includes LED lights, 20-inch alloy wheels, heated leatherette front seats, and the 14.5-inch infotainment system, while opting for the Luxury Line gets you 22-inch alloys, the wood trim, proper leather, and heated rear seats. The entry-level car has plenty of standard kit, and the smaller wheels are likely to make the ride more comfortable. But for a full rundown of exactly what you get, as well as all the options available, head to carbuyer.co.uk.
Things are just as swanky for the people that are sat here in the back. These seats, they slide, they recline. Now you can go for the optional second row comfort pack. That's going to cost you an extra £2 grand. And basically that does everything that I've just done, but electrically, and also has electric curtains rather than manual ones. So you can keep out the riffraff. Oh, and ventilated seats as well as the heated ones that I've got here. Now, one thing I do like is the legroom and the headroom still got so much space. And this, look, funky cup holders. Huh? Now, if you do go for the 7-seater version, the third row, there's still quite a lot of space back there. Not as spacious as a Land Rover Discovery, but on par with the Audi Q7. Oh, and there is an option for a panoramic sunroof, which, given that this is a luxury car, I would fork out the extra 1,500 quid for that.
Opening the boot is done via a button that's very cleverly disguised in the arm of the rear window wiper. Press it and you'll find a boot space for this 5-seat version of the GV80 stands at 735 litres, which is more than in a BMW X5 or Mercedes GLE, but slightly less than an Audi Q7. Fold the rear seats forwards and you get a flat load space that offers 2,152 litres of space. It is huge. There's loads of underfloor storage too, so you can stow the load cover, for example, when you're not using it. Bear in mind that if you go for the 7-seat version, the space under the floor is taken up by the 2 rear seats when they're not in place. The 2 big engines on offer means the GV80 is a good tow car. Both versions can manage a braked trailer weighing up to 2,700 kilos.
So it is luxurious, it's practical, it's well made, it's got lots of tech. But what is it like to drive? Well, this, beautiful people, is the moment that we come across one of the GV80's weaknesses. And the main problem is, while both engine options are very big and very powerful, they feel a little bit dated by today's standards. I mean, there is absolutely no electrification whatsoever, not even a little bit of mild hybrid assistance, let alone a plug-in hybrid version. This car has the trad 6-cylinder 3-litre diesel engine that has 274 brake horsepower and is a very good performer in its own right. It's very smooth. It will do 0 to 62, considering how heavy this is, in a very respectable 7.5 seconds. Now, both GV80 options do come with 4-wheel drive. If you don't want the diesel, then you can opt for the 300 brake horsepower 2.5 litre petrol, which is ever so slightly less powerful because it doesn't have the same amount of torque that the diesel does.
And then there's economy. The diesel returns up to 33.1 miles per gallon, with this number falling to 26.1 for the petrol model. Big luxury SUVs aren't renowned for their efficiency, but those numbers do highlight the appeal a plug-in hybrid model would have if there was one, especially for company car buyers. As things stand, CO2 emissions of 220 to 248 grams per kilometre are pretty off-putting in that regard, placing the GV80 in the highest benefit-in-kind tax bracket.
Another problem that you'll notice is ride quality. I mean, this isn't a particularly sporty SUV. If anything, it feels like it's been designed to be more comfortable, which is why it's more surprising that it feels a bit unsettled on roads that aren't just beautifully smooth, especially on these larger alloy wheels. Oh, and also that's in spite of the fact that there is a camera on the front of the car that monitors the road surface, and then what that does is it's meant to optimize the suspension for the surface that you're on. Now, the steering does feel a little bit light and there's a lacking in feedback, but I will forgive that in a large SUV like this. Now, on a nice smooth motorway, the diesel feels a lot more refined, a lot more quiet, and the suspension's a lot more compliant. There's also plenty of semi-autonomous driving tech to help make everything that little bit more relaxing for you. Plus, if you go for the optional Lexicon stereo, then you've got active road noise cancelling as well, so it's just that little bit more peaceful. Oh, one thing I have noticed that I think is worth mentioning is the rev counter goes the other way. That takes a little bit of getting used to. But what I do like, which I think is taken from the Kia Sorento, is that when you indicate, you've got side cameras that come up on the digital dash. I like that. Big fan of that.
So here are the deal makers and the deal breakers for the Genesis GV80. The quality inside is really impressive and the materials and finishes look and feel great. The infotainment system is easy to use and the 14.5-inch screen and digital dials are a lovely touch. The GV80 costs less than the equivalent Audi and BMW, but has more equipment as standard. It's generally very comfortable, but the GV80 suspension can feel slightly brittle at slow speeds.
It's all too easy to get overexcited about a new brand and they're all new cars, to then get behind the wheel and find it's an underwhelming disappointment. But actually, today has been a very happy occasion now I've got my hands on the new GV80. This is a very impressive first offering from Genesis here in the UK, one that slots perfectly into a very tough part of the market and is instantly a challenge to cars that have been around for a very long time. I mean, yeah, it's a shame that there's no plug-in hybrid option and the ride isn't perfect, but the quality is really, really nice. The interior is lovely. You've got lots of standard equipment and it's practical too. Well done, Genesis. Pat you on the bum.
If you enjoyed this video, then why not watch our review of the Land Rover Defender or our SUVs playlist. Thanks for watching.